All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Total Sales Mastery. My name is James Campbell. I'm with Integrity Marketing Solutions. I'm the Chief Growth Officer and Sales Coach here at IMS. I'm really excited about today's session and today's training. I was really encouraged and really kind of taken aback by how many people have registered for this training, and it really shows that there's a lot of need and a lot of maybe misunderstanding when it comes to sales. I think that this is an area of the business and of the practice that can make a huge difference in the success of your law firm. So let's go ahead and jump into today's training, which is titled How Great Law Firms Close More Leads at Premium Fees Without Any Pushback, and yes, even internet leads. Let's just make sure everybody here is in the right place. So who is this training for? Well, this training is for attorneys, obviously. And for those that have maybe what's traditionally known as a transactional practice, really our focus, my focus in this training is for areas like estate planning, elder law, business planning, and for these attorneys that want to see more revenue from their lead flow. In other words, they want to close more business at higher fees, and they want to do so at a consistent pace. And they want to do this by providing value. So what we're going to touch on today is how do we provide that value? How do we discover value? And how do we serve clients to their best possible solution without high pressure sales? So this is what I know that attorneys don't want to do the high pressure sales. That's not what you're there for. You want to actually help people. And so this sales process is going to help you do exactly that. You want to stop wasting time with people who just aren't a good fit for your practice as well. So it's a matter of being able to decide who those best clients are, and how do we work with them? How do we discover that value and have a proven process to go through each and every time? So we're going to jump into that in there a little bit deeper, okay? So any of these scenarios sound like you, or any of these things come up in your law firm? Do initial meetings last really just too long, hours or longer? And at the end of these hour-long consultations, do you get the objection of, I need to think it over? Or do people get sticker shock or have to talk to somebody else, get a second opinion? Your prospect says that maybe the price is more than they expected, even when you know it's significantly less than what you should be charging. Or maybe you know you should be charging more, but you're not sure how, or you're afraid that if you do charge more, that you'll lose too many prospects and essentially shut down your referral stream. A lot of people, I've talked to attorneys in these situations where they have a stack of prospects that never actually made a final decision. And they're unclear, maybe you're unclear on how to follow up with them or to get them to move. And this is another big one. Maybe you're concerned that your staff, people that are answering the phones, maybe your associate attorneys, is missing opportunities with potential new clients, and you're just not sure how to help them improve. These things make a big change, a big difference, a big impact on your bottom line, on your revenue and your profitability. So I'm going to talk about the old way of sales, how people traditionally do things, and what more than likely most of the people on this webinar, how they approach sales as well. And that's to give up, hours of your time to educate your prospects on estate planning, and then produce and present multiple options at various price points and talk through what those options are and really try to develop that consultative sales. Maybe you've heard the term educate to motivate. This is really what we would call the traditional or old way of doing sales. And in this old way, a lot of times we agree that, boy, this estate planning decision, it is a big decision. And most people do need time to think about it, to think it over, to consult their family, to call their brother or their cousin and ask these questions, right? Before they can actually make a decision. And then when they do that, you leave the meeting, they leave the meeting, and you feel insulted, you feel worn out, angry, because you gave them hours of your time, you laid out a perfect plan, and all they focused on was the price. When these things happen, we start believing that all the leads are just price-sensitive tire kickers who just want free information. And we pigeonhole these prospects and start believing that about the market. Let me ask the question, does any of this make sense? Why would we follow this old model? when it's so clanky, it's so clunky. It just doesn't roll and move in a process, in a system that you've basically built your practice on, is developing systems to develop plans, to work with clients, to move people through the pipeline of getting their work done. How does this make sense to follow this old method? Why do some attorneys still persist in it? I think that attorneys persist in the sales method, even when all the evidence proves that it's outdated and not working, for a number of reasons. But what it really leads to is they get burned out and they get frustrated. And when this is the energy that's brought to your sales meetings, there's no wonder that the process is uncomfortable for both the attorney and for the prospect. So it's very difficult to make this old system work and to build real relationships with people because the conversation's all about a product. So I want to introduce to you Total Sales Mastery and the Trust Selling System. And we're going to talk about these 6 shifts that you really need to make to start closing more business at premium fees, to be able to start selling these trust-based plans at a premium fee and to do so consistently and at a high rate. Okay. Now, if you're seeing yourself in some of these scenarios that we've talked about, odds are you've built some reasons around why it's happening. And you believe these reasons to be true. And so because of that, you act in ways to support these reasons. I call this the self-fulfilling prophecy. So for example, you might believe that people in your market simply will not pay $5,000 for a full estate plan. So to act in accordance with that belief, you charge $2,000. You might believe that referral sources expect you to charge X, and so if you want to keep getting referrals, you have to continue to charge X. Does this sound familiar, guys? The old adage applies. The first person you have to sell is yourself. So the first shift is to understand where clients find value. Okay, this is the big one. In the traditional model, the old way, we sell features and benefits. The conversation is product-based, and it's rooted in education. I'm going to educate you about this product and then try to sell you this product. And because of that, it's transactional by nature, and in the end, it all comes down to price. That's the traditional model. And just to kind of clarify this for you as to why this happens, okay? If a prospect is trying to solve a problem, they think that a trust will do it. Okay, you've convinced them that a living trust is the thing. And during your conversation, you've talked about your features and your benefits. The feature that maybe you have years of experience and that you can be trusted to do a good job, that's the benefit. Maybe you offer trusts. You're trying to sell them a trust. And the benefit of that, boy, that avoids probate. Maybe you offer a comprehensive plan. Just you stack all these things together. You bundle these things together for cost savings to cover all the bases. Whatever it is, if these are your features and your benefits that you're talking about, look at what your competitors are saying. Look at their features and their benefits. They're saying the exact same thing. So how are people supposed to make a choice? All things being equal, you sell a trust, they sell a trust. You can buy a trust on LegalZoom. When it comes down to buying a commodity, to buying a stack of paper, essentially, how do people make their choice? Well, it has to be price. That's why the whole thing is price driven. Now, the trust selling system is different. It seeks to solve problems. It seeks relationship and trust. It's value driven. The whole process is centered around discovering and building value within that conversation to make a high ticket offer, which is the solution to those problems. So the trust selling system solves problems and sells solutions. And again, it's no coincidence that it's called the trust selling system. Yes, it's a great acronym for the steps along the way in the selling system, our true intentions to build rapport, to uncover, and then to size up and have our standards, and then to offer our true solution. But it is also about selling living trusts, okay? This is what this whole system is developed for, is to help estate planning attorneys connect with their clients quickly, build value, tremendous value, quickly, and make an offer that meets that value. that delivers. And that's what holds the high ticket. So the value is the difference between how bad things can be if your prospect does not fix the problem, and how great things can be when the problem is fixed. And you build this through the questions that you ask, not the education that you provide. Let me repeat that for you guys. You build this through the quality of the questions that you ask and not through the education that you provide. Very important point to remember here, okay? That you do not determine the value, you discover it. If you're going to take one thing away from this first shift, it's that you don't determine the value, you discover it. And here's why it really sucks if you don't uncover value and build value throughout your conversations and have that be the intention and the mainstay focus of your sales call is uncovering that value. If you don't do that, here's what will happen. You'll continue to undercharge for your services. You'll be in constant price comparison to other firms. And if you stay in that low-cost comparison, you'll establish a damaged ego and a low-cost reputation. That's one thing we don't want, especially in estate planning, when what you provide is both complex and expensive. It also leads to indecisive prospects, prospects who need to think it over. Why do prospects need to think it over? Because you've put all the focus, all the attention, all of the importance on developing education. So if they miss something, if they forget something, if they dazed off for a second and didn't pay attention to what you were saying, they're going to feel like they missed the boat and are unable to make a decision. I hope that connects for you guys. Very important. At the end of the day, you'll always be afraid to charge appropriately for your services, okay? Now, the second shift, it deals with what's between the ears. It's changing your mindset and your intention around sales. In high-ticket sales, in this trust selling process where we're selling living trusts, okay, and not just your basic docs here, your basic wills, your intention is not to educate your prospect. It's not even to sell a trust, even though you will. Your intention is to serve the person across from you. Your number one priority in high-ticket sales and in this trust selling process is to help your prospect understand the truth of what their problem is really costing them and uncover the importance of their desired outcome. Once we start building this up, my friends, about how bad things can be if they don't solve it and how good things can be if they do, this is where we have the value that comes through the questions that you ask. Let's continue. Your prospects, guys, when they're coming in, they do not need to be informed. You need to be informed. And you become informed by asking questions and getting to the truth. So your intention and the quality of your questions will build authority. They'll build trust. And that's what's going to determine the outcome of the sale. Now, I want to tell just a real quick example here about authority. I want to give a short story here so we can talk about how authority is built and how it becomes instant authority once people understand that you know their problem. That's how you gain instant authority. And I have this photograph on here of a man coming out of the doctor's office. You can see he's holding his charts, okay? And a homeless man talking to him. Let me just tell you this scenario. We're just going to walk through it real quick. Imagine a man, he has some debilitating disease, and it causes some sort of tingling sensation and paralysis on the left side of his body. He's not really sure what the issue is. He goes to his family care physician. The family care physician says, run some tests, takes a look at him, never seen anything like this before, doesn't know what it is, and recommends he goes and sees a specialist. Well, he goes and sees the specialist, and the specialist runs some tests, and he looks in his throat, and he asks him all these questions, and he takes his heart rate, does a full body scan, and decides that this is too much for him. He can't figure out what's going on, and he suggests that this man actually fly to Europe to a clinic where they specialize in neurological disorders. He thought it was something with the brain. And so the man is distraught. He's missed work, and now he's got to fly to Europe to go see a specialist. As he's walking out of the doctor's office, he has one of these episodes where his left arm just cringes up, goes numb, and he almost falls to the ground. And this homeless guy, you can see pictured here, he stands up and walks over to the man and asks a question and says, "Buddy, are you okay?" And a little taken aback of this homeless man coming out of the parking garage of the hospital, the doctor's office, says, "I'm okay. I had this episode." And the homeless man said, "I saw what happened. It looked like you had a sensation go down your left arm. Did it make your fingers feel tingly?" And the man says, "Well, yeah, they did feel tingly." He goes, "Did it kind of run down your leg, but not past your knee, where you felt like a sharp pain, but it was also cold, but didn't go past your knee?" And that pain went down. The man was like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what happened." He goes, "And did the left side of your tongue go numb when that happened?" And the man says, "I didn't even tell the doctors about that, but yes, the left side of my tongue does go numb." And the homeless man says, "It's an iron deficiency. Same thing happened to my brother. Just go to Walgreens, get some iron, you'll be just fine." What's that man going to do? He's faced all of these authoritative figures who have been doctors, specialists, and run all these tests and used all this fancy equipment. Is he going to believe the homeless man? Or is he going to say, that guy has no credentials. What does he know? I'm just going to fly to Europe. I'll guarantee you he goes to Walgreens and buys some iron. Why? The homeless man gained instant authority because he understood exactly what was going on with the man. The same thing happens when it comes to your sales process, my friends. The same thing. You don't have to go into deep education. You don't have to talk about your credentials or show them all of the awards that you've won on your back wall. I'm not saying that stuff's not important. It is, obviously, but you don't have to rely on that to gain authority. You gain instant authority. They know that you know. As soon as you can prove and show that you understand their problem and exactly what they're going through. I hope that makes sense. And guys, by the way, if you have questions about this sales process or about your specific scenarios, go ahead and add them to the chat, and I'll get to those when we get to the end of the training. Just wanted to make sure I made that note for everybody. So just remember, you can build instant authority through the quality of the questions you ask. Guys, a poor mindset and the wrong intention about how you're going to serve your prospect, about getting to the truth, if you're going in trying to sell a trust, if you're going in thinking you have to educate this person on every aspect of probate and trusts, revocable versus irrevocable, wills versus trusts, if you think you have to do that, what that's going to lead to is self-doubt, burnout, and limiting beliefs about your market. A proper mindset leads to winning every call. Now, how can you win every call? If you honestly serve your prospect to the truth and you truthfully advocate for them, again, for them and not for your product, and if you only make an offer if you're 100% confident that you can help, you are going to win every call, even if they don't move forward. You'll know that you got to the exact spot, that you brought them to the point where they understood exactly what was at stake. And you offered them a solution to help solve their problem and achieve their goals. And you did that with confidence and you did that truthfully. You can walk away from every call knowing you did your level best. And I promise you, you will win way more calls. Let's continue on to the third shift, and that is to set and control the frame of the conversation. Now, what do we mean by the frame of the conversation? Well, let's spell it out a little bit. Most attorneys hold the student-professor frame when it comes to their sales opportunities and their sales process. The frame is that the attorney is the professor and the prospect is the student. And this is articulated through your marketing, through your brand, and obviously through the conversations you have around your products or your services as you provide education about those products and services. In estate planning, for example, you talk a lot about wills and trusts and the difference between those documents and what they can do and what they don't do. You talk about the different tax rules and different options that people might have, and all the different planning strategies. And you rely on your experience and your education for building that authority as the professor, okay? In high-ticket sales, we take the doctor-patient frame. You demonstrate your authority through the questions you ask versus the information you provide. Your sales structure revolves around the problems you solve, not the services or documents you create. Prospects need to understand that you want the best for them, but that they need you way more than you need them. Okay? This is the patient-doctor frame. There's a lot more at stake for the patient than there is for the doctor. Okay? So the third shift of setting and controlling the frame is to recognize that this is your house and everybody's got to play by the house rules, which means you've got to set some house rules. This means you have to set the frame of the call or the meeting using what's called an upfront contract. And an upfront contract is very simple. All it is stating exactly what you're going to do, what's expected of your prospect, and whether or not they can agree to those terms. Okay, here's how it might sound. Here's an example of how it might sound. Here's how I kind of coach my students and my clients into making their offer, into starting off their sales process. It might sound something like this. Hi, Daniel and Diane. Thank you for being on time for our meeting today. You know, here's how we're going to get the most value out of this meeting for you. First, I got to ask you some questions. I really want to find out what you truly hope to accomplish and what could happen if you don't accomplish it. And to do this, I need you to be open and honest with your answers, okay? And at the end, if I can help, I'll talk to you about how we can do that and what it would cost and how we make it happen. Can we agree to this process? And they'll say yes. And now you have established the frame of the conversation. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to find out where it hurts. Then I'm going to diagnose those issues as the professional, as the doctor. I'm going to diagnose what the problems are. Then I'm also going to prescribe the medicine, the remedy to solve those problems and get you on the other side of this. We need to lay that out in the beginning of the conversation to set the frame, to let them know we're in control. We're going to be the ones asking questions. There will be a point where you get to ask questions, but right now, just to understand the general frame of the conversation is that I ask the questions, you give me the answers. That's how you are going to get the best possible result. That's the frame we have to set. Oops, wrong button again. And moving forward. Okay, and here's why it really sucks if you don't control the frame. Guys, your meetings will last forever. Forever. Not only that, but you give away thousands and thousands of dollars worth of unpaid consulting. Nobody likes to give away unpaid consulting. The other thing is that prospects are confused and they need to think it over, or they take multiple meetings to make a purchasing decision. They have to learn, they have to research, they have to ask a ton of questions before they can decide on what you already know is the perfect thing for them to do. Okay? Let's continue on. Do the fourth shift, and that's overcoming the fear of charging premium fees. Now, this may not apply to everybody. I talk to folks who are charging appropriately, but I do talk to folks who are not, who have a lot of headway to go. And they undercharge because of what I call head trash or limiting beliefs, things that they believe are true, which are not actually true. Okay? So attorneys just typically don't charge enough, guys. A survey by Martindale found that 70% of readers paid less than $2,000 for an estate plan. Nearly 40% said they paid less than $1,000. Okay? Now, I recognize that sometimes those $1,000 trusts are done by people who don't actually focus on estate planning. They're a general practitioner and they'll, yeah, I'll do your estate plan for you, $1,000, right? But that's a lot of people. A lot of folks are signing up and buying trust packages for $1,000 that are trash, okay? Absolute trash, not made by a professional who knows what the heck they're doing. If you are dedicated your practice to estate planning, and that's what you do, that's where your expertise is, obviously we're for you, Okay. But the other thing is, if you're charging $1,000 or $2,000, you are severely undercharging. You are putting yourself in the place of those general practitioners who say, yeah, I can throw together some docs for you, $1,000. You're better than that. You have more value than that. Take a look at that chart and just recognize that's where most people are. Okay. Why is it so low? Well, many lawyers believe that they'll lose referral sources if they charge appropriately, or they fear that clients just simply won't hire them at higher fees. And those beliefs are rooted in fear, and fear should never lead your law firm. Confidence leads your law firm. Okay. The reason attorneys undercharge for their services is because they doubt or don't fully understand the value that they bring their clients. So it stands to reason that they lack the confidence and skills to uncover and demonstrate real, deep value. So how does this work out for law firms trying to grow their revenue? I'm going to use a spreadsheet here. We're going to look at some examples, okay, of how this can shake out. Let's say we have this law firm. They finished their year of business at $175,000. They charge $1,000 per case, which means they had 175 cases. They had 350 consults, initials, in that year and closed half of the people. And to do that, they had 8 consults a week. On the goal, this person has a goal of $1 million. They want to have a 7-figure practice and do $1 million. Well, if they're going to charge $1,000, they're going to need 1,000 cases, okay, in a year. How many initials is that they have to close 1,000 cases? They need 2,000 initial consults in a year, charging $1,000 and closing at 50%. Well, how many initials is that per week, James? Well, it's 44. 44 consults a week. Anybody want to raise their hand and say that they can meet with 44 people in a week? I don't think so. Okay. Let's change the hypothetical a little bit and say that this person instead goes through the trust selling system, understands sales and its true value, they can charge $5,000 per case. And as the closing ratio was 70% to increase his closing rate. Now, he needs 200 clients to make $1 million in a year. How many initials does he need? 286. So how many is that per week? 6. 6 consults per week. Now, I'm not saying that you can just raise your fees arbitrarily to $5,000, and don't think that I'm saying that to you. What I'm saying is making these adjustments to your sales process. When you make these adjustments, when you can increase your fees with confidence by building true value through your sales opportunities, and then you can charge appropriately. When you can do that and close at a higher rate, my friends, that's what's going to affect your revenue the most. Nothing else will have a bigger impact on your bottom line, on your profitability and revenue, than your ability and your team's ability to sell. Okay? And here's why it sucks if you don't charge a premium fee. 1, you get that low-cost reputation, making it more and more difficult to raise your fees. 2, it leads to frustration. How do we hit those revenue goals? How do we do it? It essentially puts the brakes on revenue. It's very difficult to scale. It's very difficult to grow year over year if you never raise your fees to the appropriate level. It requires too many man hours to see an increase in pay. And when you're really have that entrepreneurial spirit and you want to grow your practice and it's just burning you out, that's what happens. You get burned out. The truth is, if growing your law firm profitably is your goal, then it's imperative to realize that increasing your sales skills and then asking for and receiving premium fees is absolutely crucial. It's crucial to the success of your practice and to your profitability. Let's get into the 5th shift, and that is to not to wing it in your sales opportunities. Don't wing it. Don't go in there blind. Guys, estate planning attorneys are pros at planning. Planning ahead is literally what you've built your entire career on. But why, when it comes to your sales process, you and your staff just often wing it? Why is that? You rely on your experience, your education, your God-given ability, your charm, your good looks, whatever it is, it's not planned, okay? And that's a mistake. The simple truth is that your success is dependent upon three factors: your mindset, your skill set, and your strategies. Now, your current mindset, your current skill set, your current strategies have brought you to where you are today. Where your practice is today, the profitability of your practice, the revenue that you have coming in, the number of people that you close, the fees that you close them at, where you're at today, the strategies and the mindset and the skill set that you have has brought you there. Now, if you want to grow and scale and achieve more, you're going to have to develop a new mindset, a new skill set. You're going to have to deploy, execute new strategies. You've heard the term constant learner. I hear that from so many of our clients. I'm a consistent learner, a constant learner. I'm always adding new things. I'm going to CLE. I'm reviewing the message boards. I'm honing my skills in estate planning all the time. You need to put some of that mind juice into your sales process as well. And when you do, beautiful things can happen, okay? Recognize that the rate at which you close business and the fees you charge play a huge role in the success of your practice. Your ability to sell is one factor you can drastically improve in a relatively short period of time. There's one thing that all the wealthiest financial planners have in common, and that's years and years of sales training. How much sales training have you been through? How much sales training has your staff been through? What is the missed opportunity or the opportunity cost of not having that skill set implanted into your firm? Here's why it sucks if you don't have a plan. You just try to wing it, guys. Going into sales meetings without a strategy, it just leads to lost sales. And the worst part about that is it leads to lost sales without any idea why the sale was lost. What could you have been doing? What could you have done better during your meeting? What does better even look like? Here's what happens most of the time, guys. Most of the attorneys will simply blame the prospect. Well, it's not me. I've got all this education. Well, it's not me. I'm so good looking. Well, it's not me. I'm so charismatic. Well, it's not me. I have all these great features and benefits. It's obviously got to be the prospect's fault. They were dumb. They were a tire kicker. They just wanted free information. They just wanted to know the price. Guys, without standards, guidelines, a playbook, a track to run on, you are lost. Your staff is lost. And so is your prospect. You're just out there winging it. And what happens is people don't sign up and you just blame them immediately. It's their fault. Some introspection would be really helpful in making your practice better, okay? So just a quick recap of these first 5 shifts. The shift 1, understand where clients find value. Again, that's the difference between how bad things can be if they don't solve it, how good things can be if they do. Change your mindset and your intention around the sales, okay? Remember, you're there to serve this person to the truth. You're there to help them solve a problem, to advocate for them honestly, okay? That's your intention and your mindset. The third shift is to control the frame, set the frame. Remember, that's not the student-professor frame, it's the doctor-patient frame, okay? Where we're inquisitive, we're curious, we're asking questions that we are pretty sure they have a problem with that. We know because we've gone through this with other clients before. We know what those situations feel like, and we know exactly what questions to ask. We've thought it through. That's how we control the frame. The fourth shift is to overcome the fear of charging premium fees. You saw the example. What can happen to a law firm when they make some of these adjustments, can charge more, close quicker, close more, higher percentage. It's going to have the biggest effect on the revenue. And then the fifth shift is to not wing it. Don't go in there without a plan or a game plan. We have to have some sort of structure to follow. And when we do, we're at a better chance of winning. Let's move on to the sixth shift, and that is to get expert help. Okay? Think of the mentors you've had, the coaches you've had throughout the years. How did they influence your trajectory of success? What did they do? Think of the progress you made with a great coach and where you would have been without their training, encouragement, and correction. Okay? Think about those people, whether it's sports, mentorships, whatever it may be discipleship, whatever it might be. How's that influenced you and changed the course of where your practice and where your firm and your life is now? Guys, an expert coach will help you improve your skill set, but will also be aware of the mindset issues that lead to defeat. Expert help and a proven game plan is a recipe for success, regardless of the sport or the profession. I coach youth football. My son, 10 and it's third through sixth graders. I coach for youth football and have for the last 4 years. And I can tell you that I'm working with these little kids. The emotions and the mindset is the biggest thing. That's where we have to spend the most amount of time. These kids want to get better. They want to improve and they like playing football. So having them go through drills and having them learn technique and develop their skill set, they're all about that. That's the fun part. What goes on between the ears is where they need the most help. And it tends to be that way with the attorneys as well. And what I like to see happen is those breakthrough moments. The scales fall from the eyes, the epiphany moment where now everything becomes clear. Now this thing that maybe felt awkward to ask questions and to not do education, where that may have felt awkward at the first, now it's habit. Now it's easy. Now it's the way that they do things. This is the same thing applies to these kids playing football as it does to your sales process, okay? Just so that you know a little bit about me, for those of you that don't know, I serve as Chief Growth Officer for Integrity Marketing. I've worked exclusively with estate planners for the past 17 years, and I've helped IMS grow, obviously, to multiple 7 figures annually, and helped hundreds of attorneys unlock their true potential, maximize their performance, and help these firms double or even triple their revenue, increase their personal income and their impact in the community. And then at the end of the day, we're buying back their time. We're gaining more freedom over our schedule, over our lead flow, our sales process, over every aspect kind of stems from how we do in sales, okay? It's a little bit about me. And here's why it sucks if you don't get expert help. Guys, information is great, but making these changes is not easy. And most people will take this information and say, wow, that was some great information. And then they go about their business, go into their next initial consult coming up here in 30 minutes and do the exact same thing they did 3 days ago, where it has no impact. And they'll say stuck out of their own volition, okay? But now you have an opportunity to change. Guys, I am a coach. That's where my heart is in coaching. And as a coach, there's nothing worse than presenting a problem without having some sort of solution. How dumb would it be to say, hey, you got to be able to make that tackle, and then not tell a kid how to make that tackle or how to do better. The same thing applies here. I can go through all of these things with you, but if I don't give you an opportunity to change without a solution, what kind of coach would I be? So here's what we have happening. Starting March 5th, so here in a couple weeks, we're going to launch Total Sales Mastery live group coaching, which is going to be 8 weeks long. And guys, there is tremendous benefit and feedback from the insight from others, okay? Live group coaching is for estate planning, elder law attorneys, and their staff. So I saw a question pop through about staff. Yes, we can help your staff that are committed to growth in estate planning or elder law. We meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. There's also a companion online academy where all of the sessions on the trust selling system, how we sell these living trusts, how we build value, how staff can pre-sell prospects for you to set the tone, sort of be like Pippen to Jordan, where he's given the great assist, or she is giving the great assist there. All of the training in there. We're going to, some people like to go through self-pacing. I know that a lot of attorneys log into this and when they enroll and they go through all the trainings and just kind of absorb it all at once. That's perfectly fine to do, but we're going to meet every Tuesday to kind of recap and then talk about the prospects that you have coming up or debrief the prospects that you just met with. How do we follow up with these people? What could we have done different? What questions didn't we ask that we should have? What adjustments can we make for the next sales call? Guys, this will make a huge impact on your practice. So here's some questions about, some frequently asked questions here about this. How do I enroll? April's going to put the link in the chat for enrolling if anybody's interested in enrolling, and also a link to my booking calendar. So If anybody wants to talk with me about their specific needs, maybe enrolling multiple people within the firm, definitely do that. Live coaching happens every Tuesday, I've mentioned before, at 10 a.m., starting on March 5th. So you've got some time to adjust your calendar and make sure that you can make that, but it'll run for 8 weeks. My goals for you is that you have total confidence in your sales process, that you close way more people now through this process than you ever did before, and that you can just basically sell more trust-based plans quickly and at premium fees. We're going to talk through your market. We're going to talk through your pricing structure, how you make your offer, what questions you ask, developing your script, making sure that you're on point for your sales presentations. And then what's it cost to enroll? $5,000 for a firm if you pay in full. We do offer split pay where you pay $3,000 in March and then $3,000 again in April, and that's for the full firm. So whether you have one person or 5 people that you need to enroll, that's going to be per firm. Guys, I can't encourage you enough to enroll in Total Sales Mastery. We don't do this course like all year long. We're doing it starting March 5th for 8 weeks to make sure that the people that are committed to their practice and growth have an opportunity to do that. I did see some questions come through in the Q&A. Let me just bring some of those up here and see. Okay, so first question here was, what do you do when a person asks what you charge for a trust? What do you do when a person immediately asks what you charge for a trust? So I'm assuming that's if somebody calls the office and they say, you ask them how they're doing or whatever, and they say, well, what do you charge for a trust? And that can really catch people off guard. It's a great question. The best response for that is, again, it goes back to controlling the frame, that you need to be in control of the conversation. You need to be the one asking questions. In fact, you need to be the one that says, is it okay if we talk about the cost of this plan now? Like, you need to be the one bringing that up. So what we have to do here is use a little tool called a reverse. That's essentially where you answer that question, what do you charge for a trust, with the question. And the way that would sound would be, that's a great question, but let me ask you, what are you hoping a trust will do for you? We just divert that. See, a lot of times these prospects come in thinking that they have to ask questions. They're a little bit uncomfortable. And so they don't really know a lot about estate planning. What they do know is maybe the words will, the word trust, the word probate. Maybe they know the word probate. So when they ask questions, they're going to be very base questions. We should expect that. We should expect people that don't know a lot about estate planning to ask very base questions when it comes to estate planning. That's okay. That just shows that they don't know a lot about estate planning. Guess what? You do. So all you have to do is let them know, hey, we're really not at that point yet to talk about cost, but I'm really curious to know what you are hoping a trust will do for you specifically. And then tell me more about that. How long has that been a problem? Could you give me an example? When's the last time this happened? Who's impacted by this the most? Just probing in on what they tell you. So it's a reverse. That's a great question. I hope that answers it. Another one here. Are you saying that we have to charge $5,000 for a trust? That won't fly in my rural market. No, I'm not saying you have to charge $5,000 for a trust. If in that example, I'm just showing the difference between what can happen in a firm when you do raise your fees and you increase your closing rate. $5,000 in Orange County, California, or in Miami is not a high ticket offer. That's still on the lower end in those markets. In your rural market, $5,000 might be way too high. It might be way too high. It all depends on the market. That's why I think getting into coaching and talking through your market, who you're working with, who you would desire to work with the most. And that's another key point about charging this is, who is your marketing bringing in? What kind of marketing are you doing to bring in these prospects? Are you bringing in bottom of the barrel people? And why is that happening? What kind of marketing are you doing to bring in bottom of the barrel people? Does your marketing need to be adjusted to bring in top of the barrel people? But to answer your question, no, you don't have to charge $5,000 for a trust, although I do think that $3,500 to $5,500 is a good range depending on the market. Okay. Again, one of the things we would talk through in the sales coaching. What else? Okay. What about my staff? I think I mentioned that. Can you help my receptionists better qualify and pre-sell people? Absolutely. I think that director of first impressions is the title that I like to use for that person. They're the ones that set the tone for how the firm communicates, for how the culture of the firm is to be expected to behave. That reception person or director of first impressions is a key salesperson. And if that director of first impressions does not see themselves as a key salesperson, that's probably the first thing we have to fix, and then help them with their scripting, with their question flow, and then pre-qualifying. A great thing to say, I have a client in Florida, great guy, and one of the things we've built into his sales script for his reception person is to always say, hey, make sure you bring your checkbook with you. Just real nice. Don't forget your checkbook, right? Or credit card. Just don't forget to bring it. Oh, okay, good. Now we've planted the seed in the ground. Hey, you're gonna have to pay something at the end of your next meeting. When you meet with Bill or Ted or whoever, make sure you have your checkbook because we're going to have to do something there. We're just planting that seed, and that's intentional. It's not accidental. We're not winging it by saying that. But so the answer to your question, yes, this is definitely for staff training. Let me move over here. How do I make my offer if I can't do any education during my meeting? That's a great question. I think it's misunderstood. I'm not saying that we don't do any education. As we go through the trust selling process, guys, you'll understand that the bulk of our conversation is asking questions. Once we've understood all the major problems, all of the desired outcomes, and we have crystal clear clarity on those things, then when we make our offer, that's when we provide the education. Okay? The education, though, is not ethereal. It's not for the general public. It's not for the market at large or how we work with most clients. It's not that. It's what this specific offer is going to do for those specific problems, for this specific person in these specific scenarios. Does that make sense? It's not ethereal education. It's education pointed directly at the prospects. When we make our offer, that's when we weave in our education, but we're not talking about stuff that's not important to the prospect. We're only weaving in the things that solve the problems that they have and achieve the outcomes that they want. So that's how we work in the education. It's there when we make the offer. It's a great question, by the way. How long is each coaching session? Guys, we go for an hour on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, starting March 5th at 10 a.m. to 11. The last question is, do we help with the script? Will I help with the script? Yes, and that will change for each prospect. So the way that coaching works is we are going to meet every week. We'll go through some training. We'll do Q&A. We'll debrief prospects. We'll also do some role play after we develop the script for your firm. So as we'd have that script in place and we kind of understand why we have that there based on our ideal clients and what their typical problems are, how are we going to frame those questions? Once we have that, we have our script to develop, we'll go into role play and we'll have your staff or your attorneys or yourself work with me. I'll be the customer, the prospect, you would be the salesperson and work through your script. Then we debrief that and kind of talk about where'd you do really well? Where'd you maybe miss an opportunity or two? What could you have probed into a little bit more? Maybe how could you have framed your offer a little bit better? But yes, help with the script. That's a mainstay part there. Let me just look over here. Do you recommend giving out your business card at the beginning or end of the meeting, or does it matter? I think if we're talking about a sales meeting, or if we're talking about like maybe a prospect meeting, you're meeting somebody out, I don't think it really matters that much. I think it's really smart to have your business card listed on there. One thing I think that could be adjusted for people on your business card is this exercise that we do during the coaching, which is to really outline the problems and the symptoms of the problems that you solve for your clients. Maybe list some of those on your business card, right? Maybe have that be like protecting legacies and then estate planning, right? Or caring for aging parents and then elder law below that, something like that. But yes, getting your business card and having that sort of elevator pitch, which again is another session in the coaching, is developing your elevator pitch. How do you present who you are and what you do out in networking events that has impact, that's memorable? Okay, that is all part of it. Great question there. Did I get all of these? Can all members of our firm come to the coaching sessions? Kathy said that. Yes, Kathy. When you enroll your firm, you can bring as many people as you want. This is in addition. Okay, looks like Jennifer's answered some of these questions. Let me see this one here. I'm in Baltimore area, currently charged $4,000 to $5,000. Offer complete estate plan, including pre and post transition documents. Should I be charging more? Brenda, that's a great question. Jennifer sort of answered that she can't really say in a blanket question. That'd be something that I would want to talk through with you. If you're doing this full estate plan, and maybe are you doing some administration with that? Like, are you adding on beyond the documents? Are you having some sort of extra thing there? And then what's your profitability on that? What's your closing rate on charging $4,500 to $5,000? If Brenda were to tell me, James, everybody that comes in and I make a $5,000 offer to, they just sign up immediately, like they don't even blink an eye. It's not even an issue. I would say, well, you need to raise your fees, Brenda. You're doing things so well on other areas that you're probably undercharging even at that $4,500 to $5,000 area. If you say, I close about 80%, sometimes I get some fee pushback, but most of the time I can deliver that value and people pay it, I'd probably say, well, you're okay. We also might look at what's your revenue goal for the year, Brenda? Are you wanting to do 7 figures? How many? We saw the numbers on. You need 6 consults a week if you're closing 70% of those, and that's going to put you at $1 million. Does that fee structure help you reach your goal? Right? Or does that prevent you from reaching your goal? So Jennifer is correct in her response to you, Brenda, that it's not necessarily a blanket statement that we can say without doing a little bit of having some conversation around that. What I will say is you don't have a low ticket offer, which is great. Okay. So just some encouragement there. Are all the coaching sessions recorded so that the staff is not available, they can watch later? Absolutely. I do record all of the live sessions. You do have the Companion Academy, which does have all of the basic trainings recorded in there for you to go through on your own time if you wanted to. So it's a 2-part deal. You have your online academy that you can go through at your own pace, and those are really meant for, I call it batting practice. How many pitches do you take when you go to batting practice? Just one pitch and then you stop? No, you go through it a bunch. You take a bunch of swings, like 500 cuts, right? Before you have done your BP. Same thing with the academy. They're meant to go through over and over. You may pick 1 or 2 things up from each session that kind of stick, but as you go through, you'll pick up more that will stick. But yes, all of the live sessions are also recorded and will be disseminated over email for anybody to watch whenever they want to. I'd really encourage you to come and participate though, because asking questions, debriefing the prospects that you either met with yesterday or this morning or have coming up that afternoon or tomorrow, like getting prepared and dialed in, boy, that increases your batting average like more than anything else. Okay, is outlining those questions, being prepared, anticipating how that call will go, and envision them saying yes and signing up and thinking about ways you can help them. Going into those meetings with that frame of mind and that mindset, everybody's going to be better. There's a lot of questions. Those are great questions. Again, check the chat, because if you want to enroll, the enrollment link is right there. Just a simple fill that out and you can be enrolled. Obviously, when you enrolled, I will call you and we're going to talk through. I want to meet you. I want to know a little bit more about you and your firm and kind of get you settled in for the coaching sessions. If you have questions, book a call with me. I'm happy to talk this through with you and help you kind of decide maybe who on your staff should be involved and maybe who doesn't have to. My feeling is anybody that's going to be touching sales needs to be enrolled. If they're not touching sales or talking to customers or clients, they probably don't need to be. But if they have that sales touch, you want that sales culture to be dripped in and weaved into your firm and kind of permeate. The other great thing is it's a repeatable process, guys. The trust selling system is something that you can learn. That's why I've developed it this way, that we can know that skill set. We can work on the mindset things, and these things become habit and very repeatable, and then much easier to teach to the next person that comes on board. Any more questions? Very good, guys. Is this meeting going to be recorded so I can share it with my partners to decide if we want to sign up for the program? Yes, Kathy, this is recorded. Welcome to share that with the team. Just make sure that if you want to enroll, that you're enrolled before March 5th, so you can make it to that first session and not miss out on anything. And again, if you have questions, just let me know. Reach out to me, book a call, whatever you need to do. I'll help you out. Anything else? I'll leave the floor open for just another minute here if anybody else wants to ask a question. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, guys. I really appreciate everybody coming in to this and being on time and staying. Hopefully you found it very helpful and start making you think about what can be adjusted in your sales process and what sort of impact that can make on your practice. I know firsthand it's a huge impact. This is the thing that makes or breaks. You get this squared away, even if your lead flow is down in some months, if your sales skills are high, you can ride those things out. You can weather storms much easier. So just keep that in mind. I'm here. I'm on your side. I want to see you guys achieve everything that God intended for you to achieve and to help you do your level best. Mindset, skill set, heart set, strategy, all of it deployed. All right, guys. Looks like that's all the questions. Paulie Tatum, thank you for the awesome response. I appreciate that very much. You guys, God bless you all. Appreciate you staying for an hour with me. We'll call it good there and get the recording once it's rendered, sent out to everybody. But thanks for attending, and I look forward to seeing you in Total Sales Mastery on March 5th. Please go ahead, sign up, get registered, ask me questions. I'm here to help. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Hopefully we'll see you March 5th.